This meeting tonight is not about me. It's not about the Merritt Park Baptist Church, but it's about Cammie Ring, who was age 10, who was raped, beaten, and strangled to death by a person on probation. Lily Keller, age 3, was killed by a drunk driver. The drunk driver also died. She could not find a treatment program. And the lady that was stabbed 34 times over in Anne Arundel County, this is also a meeting for her family. It's a meeting for homeowners, for everyone that had their house broke into, everyone who had an automobile broke into, every person that was robbed on the street, every person that was assaulted in a parking lot, for every family member that lost someone in violence, for every business owner that had his business broke into. Also this evening, I'd like to just pay a very special thank you to Mrs. Phipps. She is sitting here in the front row. Her son died 2 weeks ago, who was in need of treatment, and we lost him. And also the Guyman family, they are not here, but they lost their son who needed treatment. The Adams family, who's here, lost a brother, a son, many years ago because he needed treatment. And my sister was kind enough to come here this evening, and her son was 21 years old today, but she lost him at age 17. And all of these are issues about people who need to find treatment and were unable to do so. Actually, hundreds of people who've tried to find treatment and were unable to do so. This video is also for every addicted person, whether it's alcohol or drug related, and to every father and mother that spent their life savings trying to find treatment for their son or daughter. The Hogan administration hopefully will watch this video. We do know the video goes out to quite a few people. The city paper got a hold of the last video. They came down Tuesday, and they are going to do an in-depth report about some of the things that are going on in this area and also with the addicted population. We do know that the videos are an irritation to some of the people in the local government. I call him the tyrant. I will not call him by his name, and that even upsets him more. But he is in Baltimore County, and he is our executive. As we gather this evening, I want us to think about the Chicago mob, because the people that I'm about to speak with will make that mob very proud. What you're going to hear is going to be almost unbelievable, how we could live in a society and all these things are going on, because I'm going to be naming names and naming agencies. And I know that I've said with other people, this is probably going to be the Harry Carey Act for me, because it's going to affect a lot of people. The old administration has a lot of people still in key positions in the state of Maryland. Those people are working in what is called DHMH, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. They are working in parole and probation, and also in the Department of Motor Vehicles in the Glen Burnie area. I thought it would be good for me to also share with you that the Hogan administration, if there is Achilles' heel to anything that will happen in the future to him or his staff, it will be because of the people from the old administration who are sitting on key positions, making key decisions about drug and alcohol treatment and programs in this area. Every issue that we are faced with comes back to somebody in local government. Agencies pretty much do as they please. It's been that way for many years. Governor Hogan is trying to make a lot of changes, but the old administration fell to deaf ears about everything that I'm reporting to you this evening. They have an army of resources. The people who work for the state have the opportunity to call upon the Attorney General's office or anybody they so wish to call upon to defend them in the event there's a complaint that's made. Mrs. Morris from the DHMH, she is the attorney for the health department, and Mrs. Susan Barron is also the attorney for the Division of Parole and Probation. They actively took taxpayers' money and they defended the individual people when they know that crimes were going on. I am suggesting that the state of Maryland take Mrs. Marsh and Mrs. Barron and move their office over to the public defender's office where they can get paid for what they're supposed to be doing instead of not protecting the citizens of Maryland like they should be doing. Taxpayers have put out thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have the right to know who answers to who. I did not realize until last year that the Secretary of Health and the Secretary of Probation only answered to one person. That was the governor. Nobody else, only the governor. They did not have to listen to anyone. They didn't have to answer to anyone. Direct contact with the governor. The key people that I want you to remember this evening is a Mrs. Kathleen Franklin. She is a director of the health department. Donald Hall, a director of quality care. Jackie Arthur, who is the person who permits programs to be open and sometimes closes the programs. These are the decision makers. You probably didn't know that insurance companies will not pay for anybody to go through an education class, and that is if they have the first DUI. They used to go through education. So what the Department of Mental Health and Hygiene did, they decided that they were going to take the 12-hour alcohol education program and they were going to put it into treatment programs, which meant that anybody that got a DUI would no longer be going to a regular education program and that they would be going into treatment. Do you understand what that means for your sons or daughters who have a college degree, a college job that they're going to go for later on? If the question was asked, have you ever been to treatment, and they answer yes, it could affect their career. Quietly, they slipped this under the rug and they made it part of the law in 2010, I believe. And it's all about the money, the money. The old instructors like myself that taught the program for 35 years were just left on the wayside, and the new instructors surprisingly became the driving schools. The driving schools, people who have no idea about drugs or alcohol, became the sole proprietor of the 12-hour alcohol education class. I'm going to kind of share with you, if you follow along with me, how these agencies intertwine. We know that DHMH, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, had to come to the assistance of parole and probation because I filed a complaint against parole and probation for dumping cases. And when I say dumping cases, I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of cases of repeat offenders dumped back in this community. And not one thing was done about that. I continued to press the issue, and the next thing I know, they were retaliating against the church and also our program. So DHMH had no choice but to come and help the parole and probation. And when they helped parole and probation, they realized that they had dropped the ball because there was not enough treatment programs in the area. What either of these people thought about was the aftermath of what was going to take place next. And that is that the people's cases that they dropped, many who were repeat DUI offenders, had to come back to get a Maryland driver's license. So they went back to the agents, and the agents then had no choice but to file false reports to the Motor Vehicle Administration. And I have affidavits proving that. So now Motor Vehicle Administration is tied into this. So Motor Vehicle Administration has, in my opinion, has to be rewarded for some event that they're going to help another agency out. So it is my belief that DHMH went to the MVA and they contacted a man by the name of Mr. William Kraft and gave to him the entire 12-hour education program. All they had to do, in my opinion, was not open their mouth about any false reports going on. I sent report after report, certified letter after certified letter, asking them to please look into these repeat offenders drinking and driving and trying to obtain a Maryland driver's license. Everything that I did fell to deaf ears. Mr. Kraft refused to provide me any information about the driving schools or the instructors who now became abuse centers. We have an affidavit where a young man called a driving school. He said, we're also an abuse center. we can do your evaluation for you. But prior to me getting that information, I received information from the Motor Vehicle Administration, who said that if I wanted this information in the Privacy Act, I would have to pay them $34,500. One hand reached out to the other in protecting one agency against what they were doing in the community. So here's the cover-up. MVA, who has the what's called Safety and Wellness Program, Mr. Kraft, he is in charge of sending letters out to every individual person that gets a DUI. And on that letter, he will simply say, this is an arrest that you had, you need to call us and we'll assign you to a program. And when they call, they are assigned to a driving school program. Now, the driving school program will charge the individual client, regardless if he's got 5 DUIs, they will take about $150 for the evaluation, $300 for the classes. After they finish that 12 hours, then they turn around and they send them to a treatment program. Lo and behold, the driving schools are also tied into a treatment program. DHMH has made sure that everybody's hands were as clean as possible. The only thing they didn't realize, that I kept the records. I've been said to keep more records than J. Edgar Hoover. I've got records on everybody, everything. Every time I've done something, I kept the records. More and more comments were made by the state that the Alpha program should be closed because it was operating an illegal treatment program. That is a lie. They knew it was a lie. The driving schools that are now called abuse centers hooked up into treatment programs, and after they finish the 12 hours, the process starts all over again because they go back to the second offender and say, oh, you've had more than one arrest. You now have to go to treatment. And they send them to the treatment program they're tied into. So what's happening is in our society, there are probation agents, and one who is named Mrs. Tillman. She's in the Dundalk area. She is the person of all wisdom. If anybody knows anything, she'll tell you she knows it. Her and I don't get along very well, but I tell her, you're the most knowledgeable person that knows nothing about what you're talking about. And that's how I address these people, because I'm not going to sit back and make them think that they're going to have me cow down and not tell the people, especially of my community, why we're having the issues that we're having. We've got repeat DUI offenders, some of them five times, that are riding on Maryland driver's license right now because false reports were given. There are hundreds upon hundreds of individual people that should have been in treatment and never was in treatment because DHMH dropped the ball and there wasn't anybody for them to go to, so they sent them to the Alpha program here at Merritt Park Baptist Church. Now, because probation was dumping cases and because they were sending false reports, the MVA decides we're going to help you out. Everybody wanted something. It's like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back, we'll make money, you'll make money, and we'll make Dr. Wright and his program look like they're fools. Well, not as much as they think. Again, the records speak for themselves. Mr. Kraft and I got into a heated argument, and the argument started about a driver improvement class that I taught here free for all the seniors and free for my Thursday night class because it could be rather expensive. And Mr. Kraft said to me this, first off, I don't know why you're giving that program away. You could charge these people $5,000 if they want to drive, they got to pay that. I said, you don't get it. It's not about the money. And then he said to me, well, I'll tell you right now, anybody that's got a learning disability, you have to send to the courts. I said, you know what? You're about as crazy as they come. That is not a law. You do not have to send people with learning disabilities to the courts. We went round and round and round for 18 months. Every time I had the opportunity, I would come back at them with another question or another comment. And finally, after 18 months, they sent a supervisor to give me an email, one to meet me in the hallway. And the MVA said, I will not meet you in the hallway. I want to meet you in the office. So she skirted everybody out of the office, and we sat there. She was looking that somebody may come back, and she said, we were wrong. You were right. And I have it all. I have every document that I'm sharing with you. I can show to you and prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt they have been trying to get the driver improvement programs turned over to just driving schools, and they have now accomplished that. Because after 2 years after this event happened, I retired from teaching that class. They didn't want me to stay, I know that, but I wasn't going to leave and give them the opportunity to do whatever they wanted to do. Now, to me, I'm going to present to you the biggest crooks that ever have been in the state of Maryland and hold state jobs. I will give you their names, I will show you their tax records, and I will give you information where they also have filled out phony tax ID numbers. These are the same key people that are going to the governor and saying to the governor, we need treatment money. We need $5 million in treatment. The name of that organization is the Maryland Addiction Director Council. Here is their tax records. Every cent that they claimed, except they didn't claim a lot. Here is their ISN numbers. Here is what the IRS says, this number is not in effect being used for the last several months. For some reason, they didn't file anything with the IRS. Then I checked and found out that there's a new number. Same people on the same board, and it's a new number. And now they're right back at doing the same thing again, and they're operating as a nonprofit. Here are their pictures. I can show you their pictures. At meetings, what position every one of them had. Mrs., what is her name? Franklin, the one that sent the cease and desist order to the church. There is a lady that they should take and really quiz her about what she's involved in, because she's involved in an awful lot of things she shouldn't be involved in my opinion. And the only way that this is going to work out, and after I'm done, I'm going to give you the governor's phone number. Not an answering machine. You'll talk to his secretary. And we need to get as many people to say we need these people investigated as quickly as we possibly can. Now, you would think that somewhere along the line, if somebody was really upfront with everyone, they would say, okay, this person's a lobbyist, this person's doing this, or this person's doing that. There's a lady by the name of Dr. Olson. Now, Dr. Olson has a methadone clinic, I understand, and she's also involved in being a provider. Here's the bottom line. She was married to Joshua Sharstein, who was the secretary of the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. So everything that was going on was going right down the line with these individual people. They have their own organization. They make their own rules. They do everything that they want to do. And they sit back and they're trying to get the governor right now to say, we need money for treatment. We do. But the problem is, they want them to go to the methadone clinics, which many of them own. They're not going to like when they see this video, because what I'm sharing with you was also shared at a Senate investigation back in March of this year. I sent a report to the Senate for them to read at a hearing. Nothing's ever come of that. So what we have presently is this. We have parole and probation dumping cases. We have the Department of Motor Vehicles letting people teach courses that have no more idea than the man in the moon how to teach an alcohol education program. And when I ask who taught them, well, Jackie Arthur taught them. She's the one that came down and said to me, we don't know what happened to your program. She is going to receive from me this year the Pinocchio Award. And I send it out every year. And I send it to people every year. I sent it to Sonny Minnick one year. I've sent it to other individual people. But she gets it because she is the biggest liar, in my point of view, about telling the truth when it comes to treatment programs or what's going on in our community. And somebody may say, this guy's a minister. I am. But the thing of it is, I'm not afraid to stand up and share with you. I've got mountains of things that you need to look at, because what they're doing is they're pulling the wool over your eyes and they're pulling the wool over the governor's eyes. They beat that drum so hard. We need treatment programs. They needed treatment programs years ago. Those of you that have addiction problems know how hard it was for you to get into these programs. And now they want them to go to methadone programs. Oh, it just so happens I happen to own one of them, or I'm a provider, or we're all together in this. They need to be investigated. I reminded our community and the state that there would be catastrophic events taking place if they continue to do what they did. When that little girl, 3 years old, died, it broke my heart. Somebody said to me one time, why do you do this? Why do you teach this class? I'm going to share something with you that probably not even the church members may know. Many years ago, when I worked on the police department, there was a kid bouncing a ball on a wall, 15 years old. There was a drunk coming down the sidewalk. And the drunk was minding his own business. Happy drunk, fighting drunk, crying drunk. He was minding his own business. And he passed by this kid, and the kid missed the ball, and he hit him in the head with it. This drunk wanted to beat this little kid up, wanted to fight with him, wanted to beat him up. And I said to the family, I said, can't lock him up. The new law is you got to take him home. And I took that man home. About 12 minutes and 47 seconds later, in a flashbulb memory, I get a call for a shooting at the Sip and Bite restaurant. When I pulled up, I saw the mother. She had her hands in the air screaming. And she had blood on her hands, and I saw her husband slouched over on the porch. And I went over knowing that the husband had lost his life. And just about that time, the father raised up with a groan that I will always remember. With a finger, put it in his son's head to stop the blood. The guy shot and killed that boy. And it always has bothered me through my whole life of that kid losing his life. When I heard about the child 3 years old, it brought back that memory. When I heard about the child 10 years old, it brought it back again. When I hear about people dying on the highway with DWI arrest, multiple convictions, I stop and say, how many of these people have actually received the treatment that they needed? When I found out that there was a wrong, I tried to make it right. I called the people I was supposed to call. I called the ethics committee. I called the governor's office. I called the FBI. When they come out, they said, we hope you've got a good alarm system because you've got a lot of evidence here. I talked to the Justice Department. I've sent register letters, and to this day, not one thing has been done to protect our public. It is still going on, and the next time that you hear something, check it out. Find out if they were in treatment. Find out if they were just written off, as many people are. When there's no investigation, there's no witnesses interviewed, there's no evidence looked at, they simply look for a scapegoat. Welcome to Merritt Park Baptist Church. They have been a thorn in our side for years. They knew tonight we were having a meeting. They were very well of it. The tyrant from Baltimore County knew because I sent him information. Do you know what they did today? They had their great big trucks, and they rode right smack on the church property, tore the grass up at the far end, and we have it on video. I walked up and said, get your trucks, get off of here, you're not welcome on here. Well, we're going to go ahead, there's a backup of sewerage. The only backup that I knew of any sewerage was up in Towson, but the thing of it is that they moved their trucks out. And the problem is that this is the kind of government that we have, that you're living here. We blame the courts, we blame the police, we blame everybody except the people that are responsible. If these people aren't held accountable for what they do, it's going to continue until somebody's child dies or they really beat the drum loudly. Your son died 2 weeks ago today. I talked with you, we had the service, and he's going to be buried here at our church memorial garden. But the thing that's so very important for all of you to know and to understand is that he is not the only one. There have been hundreds. You know people that have died that should have been in treatment. You know that people that have been continued getting arrested because there was no treatment given to them. We need to protect our community and our children. The tax records, the information I provided for you speaks for itself. The children are dying because people aren't paying attention. Your homes are broken into because criminals are let back out on the street. Cars are broken into because we let them back out on the street. Drug dealers are let go because we let them right back out on the street, and treatment programs are urging parents to give us all of your money so your son or daughter will not go to jail. My son was a heroin addict. I put him in jail. And I felt bad about doing that. And I cried every day when I went up to see him. And I cried when I went down to Eastern Shore to see him. And I sent him letters 3 times a week and made sure he had money in his commissary. And I said to him, I did it because I wanted to make sure that if something happened to you, I didn't want to stand over your grave and regret that I didn't take a stand. So he lives today. Not as good as he should, but he lives today. So I would like to say this to everyone. And I want to make this really clear. The Merritt Park Baptist Church will not sit back and become anyone's scapegoat any longer. The facts will come out as they will. The city paper will print what they will have to print. Bob Long, the delegate, called the other day and said, "What do you want?" Duh. What do I want? What do you think I want, Bob? I want to be left alone. The church wants to be left in peace. We don't want this turmoil constantly. He said, well, you know, we're all kind of going uphill on this. I said, but the Justice Department's involved in it now, Bob. And he kind of got quiet, and we said our goodbyes. Grammer, I think is the other fellow, he called and said, let's have a meeting, let's talk about what's going on, see if we can help you out. The thing is this, so that all the politicians that see this fully understand where we're coming from. It's not just me. I'm speaking for a group of people in the addicted to community that need help. I'm speaking for parents who spent their last dime because they didn't want their kids to go to jail because they've been coerced to do that because they didn't have insurance. So here's what I plan to do. For the record, I'm asking the state of Maryland again for about the 15th time to come down and charge me for all crimes that they have accused me of. They have not done that for 4.5 years. They will not do it again, I hope. I say they will not do it again because I have nothing whatsoever to hide. For the record, let me say this. We found out today, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that that parcel of land at that northeast corner belongs to the Merritt Park Baptist Church. And what they have done, and the tyrant from the county, whose name I will not mention, somebody in his office changed the numbers on the deed. They changed the last part of the numbers. Everything looks exactly right except the last part. So when I call them or when we're up there, they give us this attitude, well, you're not cooperating. We're cooperating. So I'm going to ask the county executive to get a hold of his attorneys and bring to us or send to us a copy of the survey that was never done. And the numbers that don't match up with what we have, where did they come from? And who was it that was kind enough to give to the county that parcel of land, turn it over to the Baltimore County Schools, and then in March of 2015, the school turned it back over to the county executive? Nothing sounds like it should be. Things are wrong, and we need to do the best we can. So for the record, I would like to say that I am going to do everything I can to investigate every treatment program that's on the list from parole and probation. I will find out if they're nonprofit. I will find out who the owners are. I will find out their tax status, and they will be every stone that I can kick over, I will kick over, and I will report it to the public so that we can make our community a better place to live. Every person that dies suddenly, I'd like to know about it. Were they in need of treatment? If so, let's find out why they didn't get it. In every fatal accident where a life is lost, if the person causing that accident was a person that had a DUI, I want to find out if they went to treatment or if they were one of the cases that were dropped. And the administration, especially the old administration, the ones like Mrs. Franklin and Jackie Arthur and Mr. Hall and anybody else is from the old administration, I am going to be watching them. Everything that they do, everything that they say, everything that they write, I will print it, and I will make sure that the community fully understands who's operating the programs and why they are operating them. They are operating programs for their own self-gain, Everything that they do is their own self-gain. And how can you help? You probably would say by not standing near you after this meeting. You can help because you owe it to Cammie and to the other young girl that died, Lily. They were children, didn't have a chance in life. So we're going to form an investigative team that will meet. Robert's got a book back there. If you'd like to be part of that, we need your name and phone number. We'll call and let you know when the meeting is. And all we're going to do is research. I have a card that I used to give out when I had a detective agency. It says no matter what's on paper, if it's on it, we can find it. And I will find everything I can about these individual people until they decide that Merritt Park Baptist Church is off limits. We only want to live in peace. That's not asking a whole lot. Tonight, when I came in, thank you. Tonight, when I came in, I had folks brought to me 40 gift cards for turkeys to feed the hungry. These are people that do this out of the kindness of their heart. We never took one dime from the state or the county for any money whatsoever. We had a program that they said could be a model for the state of Maryland. Well, it still is a model for the state of Maryland. Because the integrity of the program, I do not have to defend it. It has always been what it is still today, and that is for the people that have issues and problems. Phone number for you. I'd like for you to share it with all your friends. It's the governor's phone number. It's not an answering machine. It's a regular number. You'll get to him. All right? You can get right to him personally. And he may not answer, but his secretary will. 410-974-3901. All right, there you go. Now here's another one. Write this one down because this is the U.S. attorney that does investigations. And you can call and tell him anything you want to investigate anybody you want to, especially the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. 410-209-4800. Please tell them Dr. Wright told you to call. It's okay to do that, really and truly, because they turn this back over to Scott right now. Scott, okay? So I'm done my part. Thank you for coming, all of you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, now before you go, please just give me one moment here. Actually, one day I hope to be half as good as Reverend Wright. Please give Reverend Wright another round of applause. He is doing wonderful things in the community. I don't have to let the majority of you know. He's doing wonderful things in the community, helping other people out. And also the Church of Merritt Park Baptist Church, you're supporting the work that he's doing. So let's please give Merritt Park Baptist Church a round of applause as well. And I'm getting to know a lot of different people in the room, but I don't know all of you yet. But I feel like I'm dealing with friends, and I'd like to thank my friends that did come out tonight to support this meeting. It's about working together, and that's how we're going to make a difference. Miss Elke, who spoke last time, and there's a lot of courage in coming forward and saying this, but thank goodness the people are really tired of it, and they're willing to come forward, share this information, and as I said earlier, making a difference. Ms. Elke has shared more information with me tonight to give to the Department of Justice. If you have old information that you had given and nothing happened of it, please bring it to us because we want to resubmit that, and we're trying to show a pattern throughout Baltimore County of what's happening. And there's a lot going on that people haven't been taken care of. As I was saying earlier, I know some people are going to be leaving. There's things that are going on with, as we all know, the rats are a problem. The police, there's things Ms. Elke had brought, some of the stuff she brought. The police department wasn't exactly taking care of things the way they should. Now, I went to the Citizens Academy this year. I go to the PCRC meetings, which is the Police Community Relations Committee. And I hear over and over again how the police want the public to come forward. And I fully agree with that. They want us to work with them. But what I see all too many times, and I invited the Captain Lilly, to the meeting tonight so he could get an idea of what we're dealing with. He's new to the precinct, and I asked the outreach officers to come. Unfortunately, they're not here. I know that they're busy people. We'll be sending them the video, but we're hoping to have them come in. We're hoping to come in, and it is. I mean, there's 2 other meetings I would like to be at tonight myself, but you know, this was the one I was coming to. So we really need to work together. If you know anybody that has any kind of information, even if it's small, please bring it to us. We're going to put it together. We are sending it forward. I think that we've done very well in a very short amount of time getting the ear of the people in power.